a lot of people like worms, but do you know what? They are amazing little creatures. They are like the little workhorses of the soil. Without worms, we wouldn't exist. These help decompose all the organic matter that falls onto the soil. They help actually create the soil that our plants grow in. So without worms, we just wouldn't have any plants. And these ones here, I've got in my hand, are actually little red worms. They're little brandling worms that you find in compost heaps like this. These are compost heaps. We're at Eastern Wall Gardens in Lincolnshire. We've got some fantastic compost heaps here. And you find this type of worm specifically in compost heaps. The worms that you'll find in your soil are slightly different. There are about 27 different species of worms in the UK. I think there's about 3,000 in the whole world. But the ones that we have in this country, their specific roles are taking the material, organic matter, down into the soil. You get certain species that will actually sort of work more horizontally in the soil. And they create little pathways, little gaps in the soil. They aerate the soil, and they're breaking matter down, releasing nutrients for the plants. So they're really, really very, very important. So if you're digging your soil and you're finding lots of worms, you've got good soil. So you want to encourage worms in your soil. And to encourage them, it is composting your material, making heaps like this, and returning the material constantly back to your garden. That will encourage the good conditions for the worms, and then you'll just gradually get more and more worms, and you'll get a better and better soil. So it's a constant cycle. So here at Eastern Wall Gardens, they've got bays of compost heaps, so that it's ideal if you're creating several bays. So you're creating an initial area where you're just putting the material, then gradually mixing it and turning it, and then finally you'll get this type of material here that's perfect for putting back on the soil. If you want to create your own little worm bin, you can actually get these little worms from fishing shops, or if you know somebody that's got old compost heaps or even old manure heaps, you'll find these little red worms in there. If you put a handful of those in a bucket or in a compost bin and create a worm bin, they will actually break down the material very fast. So worms, definitely something to be encouraged in your garden.